Let's even just take a step back to define NFT clearly.
Yeah.
NFT stands for non-fungible token. The way I like to think of this is digitally scarce content. So basically you can have a piece of content on the internet that has a provably scarce value. So in the same way that there's a Mona Lisa in the real world, you can have a digital version of that and prove that there's an owner of it. And so to your question about how you determine value and how you extract value, one of the cool things we've seen with crypto is that markets form on their own. Rather than a creator having to be the sole proprietor of what something is worth, you can place a value on it that you think is fair as a creator. And as that piece of content trades on secondary markets, that creator can capture value as well. So what we've seen examples of is artists releasing their NFTs for $1. Those NFTs then trading for thousands of dollars on a secondary market. But because there's technology in place to capture that resale value, that creator is getting upside the whole way along, rather than in the world today where they only capture value off that primary sale.
Damn, that's crazy. That's crazy as shit. So you're saying that if it's resold over and over again, because it's tied to that specific creator, they're able to make money from it every time it's resold.
Yeah, and the best part of it is that's hard-coded into the asset itself. So there's no reliance on a middleman to do that for you. Those transactions happen automatically in real time.
So, sorry, Sam, I got one more question about that. I told you I was going to ask a lot of questions. Told you. So what's the point of selling it at $1 to start as opposed to $15, $20, that sort of thing?
Just so that the market can determine the pricing themselves. I think creators get in this weird box where they try and price their own content. And especially with what we're seeing with NFTs and higher end content, most NFTs are going from anywhere from like $500 to $1,000 on the primary market. And so that right off the bat alienates a lot of your user base, right?
Right.
And so pricing it at something really cheap and giving everyone a base floor to get in when finance isn't really an issue, and then allowing these markets to develop naturally based on the demand of the collectors, it's kind of a better way to make the artists feel less anxious about having to determine a price that they feel like is fair and that collectors also think is fair.
Wow. All right, go ahead, Sam. My bad.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, with that said, when you say the kind of when it's resold, an artist is still getting compensated. So it's essentially a commission structure built into any transactions. Is that like a set commission percentage, or can you dive deeper there as far as that dynamic?
Yeah, so it varies depending on the platform you're selling through. There's a primary fee, which is usually a fixed cut that comes out of the primary sale that goes to the platform. So if I sell on something like Nifty Gateway will take a commission on that primary sale. But anytime there's a secondary sale of that asset, there's a commission that goes back to the creator itself. And so those dynamics are kind of what we see as a standardization across all of these, where there's a primary fee that goes to the platform and then a secondary fee that goes to the creator. But now with different protocols like Zora, creators can basically bake this fee into the sale at that inception. So if I want to say, when this piece resells in the future, I take 50% of that, I get 5% of that, I get 100% of that. That's a custom feature that you can basically define as a creator and sort of opts into the value of this NFT.
Yeah, for sure. What was the protocol you mentioned? Agora?
Zora.
What exactly else does that protocol define?
It allows you it puts a market into the asset itself. So today in the NFT world, an NFT is basically a digital collectible, which means that a platform has to facilitate the transactions around it. So when someone's buying and selling it, that's happening through a platform rather than the asset itself. What Zora did is bake that market directly into the asset so that regardless of what platform you sell it on, all of those mechanics are happening naturally in the asset itself.
That's awesome. So to take this to what examples can you share here? When you say NFTs, I know you mentioned essentially just kind of any sort of scarce content, if you will. What have you seen as some of the best examples? We'll start there.
Yeah, so I really like what Blau did for his recent drop, Everything. It was his first single of the year, and he basically released an NFT that was a physical version of it. So if you bought this digital piece of content, you got shipped a physical sound block representing that song. It's kind of a different way to contextualize different releases. So in the same way you see merch drops, you see vinyl releases, et cetera, et cetera. This is basically a new paradigm where you can do that in a digital format. And so for the context of this song, there was an open edition, which meant for 5 minutes, anyone who came in and purchased them could get this. And there was an auction, which meant that the highest bidder got one. But outside of that, that was the only time that you could purchase these off the primary market. So now when you think about this song 100 years into the future, should that song become a really big hit, there's scarce digital content which can prove, hey, I'm an owner of this collectible. And theoretically, if that song does well, the value of that collectible should appreciate in value as well.